it's easy, just try to push a button.
I don't know if I can push.
It's above the cutting boards. Is, you can, they probably know how. They probably know how to do it. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. May I have a songbook? Today's the disappearance day of Sri Vamsidas Babaji and also Raghu Nandana Thakur. Let's see. So we'll sing the prayer to the departed Vaishnavas. See that purple book cover up there? I have a little notebook in there. Thanks. Yeyanilo prema dana koruna prachor. Thank you very much. Hey no Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur. Kahamora Swarupa Kahasanatan. Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan. Kahasanatan Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan. Kahadasa, Kahamora Pata Yuga Kaha Kaviras. Eka Kale Kota Gela Goda Nataraj. Pashane Kutibo Mata Anale Pasibo. Gauranga Gunera Nidhi Kota Gele Pabo. Se Saba Sangira Sange Ye Koilo Bilas.
Say Sangana Paya Kande Narota Madas. Say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivargacharya Asasatashi Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivargacharya Asasatashi Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Sekaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Shamakunda, Radha Kunda, Giri Govardhan Ki, Yamuna Devi Ki, Ganga Devi Ki, Bhakti Devi Ki, Tulsi Devi Ki, Vrindavan Dham Ki, Mayapur Dham Ki, Sankirtan Yagya Ki, Gaur Premanandi, on Divine Disappearance Day of Sri Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj Ki, Disappearance Day of Sri Raghunandana Thakur Ki, Jai, Gaur Premanandi, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Now, this wonderful book, Sri Vamsidas Babaji, by His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami, it's greatly inspired by a devotee named Jati Shekhar, and Jati Shekhar also was quite instrumental in Bhakti Siddhanta by Baba, by Bhakti Vikas Swami, because he joined the Math when most of Prabhupada's godbrothers were quite elderly, and he himself was very young, just a teenager. So after all of them passed away, he was still present, and he had many personal encounters, of course, being a disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta, but then also with Vamsidas Babaji, he personally spent time with him. So although on his disappearance, he composed a little poem, and I'll read the poem because that kind of sums up the whole book. It's just 8 stanzas, and I will 10 stanzas, and I'll just read the translation in the interest of time. But anyway, so we're very much indebted to this devotee. Here's a picture of him with Jati Shekhar. He, Bhakti Vikas Swami went to his home and spent several weeks, he just had a little shed in his yard, and he stayed with him and extracted as much as he could. But here's the poem that he wrote upon the disappearance, and then we'll go into more detail about it. So, it's called Sri Vamsidas Smarane, in remembrance of Vamsidas. Srila Vamsi Das Babaji is a gem of transcendental qualities, the crest jewel of Avadutas, and an associate of Gaurachandra. By constantly serving the lotus feet of Bhakti Devi, who is spotless, being free of all contaminations such as jnana and yoga, Vamsi Das rendered the position of jnana and yoga insignificant. All right, taking the name Bhairab Chandra, he was born in 1859 in Majidpur, Kishoregani, East Bengal, and vastly removed the troubles of his family members. So although like most of our acharyas are born into Vaishnava families, and he was not, I mean, they were Vaishnavas, but they were very poor, and his father's occupation was fishing. So that's all that Vamsi knew. He also took part in that profession of fishing, and he didn't get to go to school or anything like that. But they were a very religious family, and he had 2 younger brothers and then 4 sisters as well. So Vamsi Das's father was named Sanatan and his mother Sarva Sundari. His family guru named him. Narottam Das Babaji of Nigoya fulfilled his desire by awarding him Diksha. Krishna Chandra was his savior. So his guru was Narottam Das, not Thakur that we know, but another Narottam. And his, okay, so after wandering, and then it's explained that he also married when his family saw that he's becoming very interested in spiritual life. He just wanted to hear all the time. Remember, he couldn't read, so he would hear from Narottam. So they got him married, but it didn't last very long, his marriage. Like, there's 2 different accounts. One says as soon as he had a son, and when he was 6 months old, he left home and, became Babaji. Another said the son was a bit older, like 10, but I kind of think it was the first one. And it makes me feel very grateful that, like all of these biographies that I read, they very often have different details according to the person who's narrating it or writing it. But look at Srila Prabhupada. We have many biographies, and there's still more coming out as we speak. Devotees are writing their remembrances of Srila Prabhupada, and they're so accurate because they're first-hand accounts, whereas we see now, this is not that long ago. He's almost a contemporary because like some devotees here were born 1950. Anyone born before that? No? So he passed away 1947, so very close, rather contemporary to us as far as time goes. But but still, even though so recent, sometimes the details are a little bit different. Of course, like at a crime scene as well, they'll ask witnesses and people perceive things differently, or certain aspects will be more prominent in their consciousness. So depending like that. So again, after wandering about the holy places, Vamsi Das came to Navadvip. Jati Shekhar traveled with him for 3 months on his pilgrimage, and he kept a diary too. So after wandering about, Vamsi Das came to Navadvip. There, near Raniganj, he served Lord Nityananda and Gadadhara Pandit. There he attained his Siddhadeha, in which were manifest transformations of transcendental ecstasy, and thus served the Lord at the topmost level of pure devotional service. Sri Jagannath Das Babaji, Sri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur were very pleased with Vamsidas. Through their association, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur fulfilled his desire to see Vamsidas Babaji, and thereupon became filled with love for Lord Chaitanya. Vamsidas went to Vrindavan and wandered there in the forest groves. Then he returned to Navadvip, visiting holy places along the way. After exhibiting pastimes in Navadvip for some time, he went on the path to Nilachala, carrying his deity of Gopal. So everything I'm reading in these prayers, you'll hear more in detail. So there, the sea became fortunate by bathing Gopal. After seeing Lord Jagannath's Ratha Yatra, Vamsidas left Puri, wandering here and there and resting under a banyan tree. I now write and print the pastimes of Vamsidas. On the bank of the Vaitarani River, on the full moon night in the autumn season, many celestial women came to see Vamsidas. Vamsidas would not speak with anyone. Always looking at Gopal, he would talk only with him. Having previously visited Gaya and Varanasi in 1944, Vamsidas returned to the place of his guru and left this world to go back to Lord Chaitanya. He departed on the fourth day of the bright fortnight of the month of Shravan. The Tirobhava Tithi of Vamsidas was on the anniversary of the Tirobhava Tithi of Sri Raghunandana Thakur. There was a great gathering that day. Bhakti Kamud, who is Jati Shekhar, he happily spent 3 months with Vamsidas. He says, now without you, I am simply crying. All right, now, even speaking of him, I fear that I will be offensive because, the way that he acted is so contrary to the way that we are trained as Vaishnavas and Gaudiya Vaishnavas. But in the Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, these avadutas, they don't want any restriction on their free-flowing offering of spontaneous love for Lord Krishna. So Vamsidas is a Babaji, an avaduta of the highest order. We know how Lord Nityananda is Nityananda Avaduta, also behaved unconventionally, like, he would go and take breast milk, although he's a grown man, from Hamalini Devi, the wife of Srivas. Oh, my husband's like, don't talk. I know, it's hard to talk about avadutas. And he would sometimes come naked, Lord Chaitanya say, what are you doing? Put on some clothes and things like this. So Vamsidas also, there's, you can see even by the picture, he's wizard looking, his fierce eyes, and he only wore a loincloth, just a kopin, that's all, no clothes. Just like so out of his body, like detached from anything bodily. So as you heard in the prayer, he was very attached to his deities. All day he would talk to his deities. He didn't talk to other people very much. And he carried his little Gopal deity in his hand everywhere he went, and he would speak to him. And also he had like 6-inch Radha Krishna deities and then Neem Gornitai deities. So this was his life. Just spontaneously talking to his deities. He didn't have regular worship, which pleases Krishna very much. We have Archana Paddhati and many books on deity worship, like especially in South India. They're very attached to the rituals, and there's very elaborate rituals for deity worship. Yet Vamsidas cared nothing for them, cared nothing for Vedas or any kind of regulation. And his deities, he wouldn't wake them up, he wouldn't put them to sleep, and he just had changed them once in a while, and the clothing were very old and tattered and everything. And his name was Bhairab Chandra when he was born. So this is his deities, and his character, he's unique even among Avadutas, like that. Like Srimad Bhagavatam 18:29 explains about the Paramahamsas, who also are often Avadutas. So although most wise, a Paramahamsa may play like a child, oblivious to honor and dishonor. Although most expert, he may behave like a stunted, incompetent person. Although most learned, he might speak as if insane. And although a scholar learned in Vedic regulations, he may behave unrestrictedly. So we see that many people would think, if they weren't devotees, like they say, it takes one to know one. So like example, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and other exalted devotees, they recognized him. They recognized that he is just a Avaduta Paramahamsa, but others thought he's insane. Like, for example, if he were to come into this temple, what would we do? What would we do? We would escort him out. We would get a police restraining order on him. I mean, that's what I mean about speaking. I feel offensive, but that's what we would do, because we don't recognize, we don't recognize like an Avaduta and a Paramahamsa. And so anyway, he was very tall. He was 6 feet tall. He sometimes fasted, like didn't eat for days or drink any water, but yet, he didn't take care of his health, but yet he was strong and healthy. And because he was tall, he could pick the flowers from the trees. For every day he made a garland for his Gaurnitai deities out of kadamba flowers. And even when he was in his 80s, he would, like our Prabhupada, he would walk very fast, and his followers, he had no disciples, he never initiated anyone, but he had, you could say, companions who took a while for him to accept anyone into his company, because he generally wouldn't even speak. People would come and ask him a question. Many people would come and pay obeisances, and he would just ignore them like they weren't even there, and like in his close associates, really a handful, he would speak like he'd be speaking Gaura Lila, then he would go on to Krishna Lila, then back to Gaura Lila, and finishing neither of the pastimes, but just like back and forth, because he's totally in the world of Krishna. And one thing about like his deity, like he always, like if someone says something about government, he'd say, Govardhan Dari Hari, and he continuously all the time chanted Bhakta Vatsala Hari, and he prolonged the last syllable, or he'd say Pranavalabha Hari, and that's he would repeat it over and over again. He would keep chanting like that. So he also very much liked Nitai Pada Kamala, and very much fond of the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, but he would sing them in a unique style, sweet of tune, but hoarse of voice. And he loved Nitai Pada Kamala, and every day he chanted it at least once a day, sometimes more. and especially the line, Nitya Karuna Habe Brajarata Krishna Pabe. By the mercy of Lord Nityananda, one can attain Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. And he knew, and then he made up his own songs too, often with no rhyme or no meter, just from his heart, which Lord Krishna likes more than the hymns chanted by the Brahmanas from the Vedas, when it was just so much filled with so much love. And he would sometimes just be silent for a very long time, then he would just shout out, Bhaktavatsala Hari, Pranavallabha Hari. And so, sometimes he talked to his deities, and the deities would respond to him. On July 16th, 1969, very early in the movement, Srila Prabhupada said, he was given a lecture encouraging the devotees, as he has done many times in his writings. Prabhupada encourages us to talk to Krishna, to realize he's your friend. He said, go before the deity, tell him what your problems are, tell him what you're struggling with, tell him, what you are, begging for his mercy, and Krishna will speak to you. Prabhupada says, but not so easily, right? Like Prabhupada said, you heard the name in this lecture of Vamsidas Babaji, so sometimes when his things were stolen, the disciples would cry that this is stolen. So he said, why you are bothering? One thief gives, another thief takes, that's all. Who gave the money? He is also thief. And who has taken away? He is also thief. So why you are bothering? One thief gives, another takes. And then he said at a different lecture, that one was 76, and then in 69, in LA, he said, if you think this deity is a brass-made idol, then it will remain a brass-made idol to you forever. But if you elevate yourself to higher platform of Krishna consciousness, then Krishna, this Krishna will talk with you. This Krishna will talk with you. This is Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj. He was talking with his deity. So, he had such personal relationship, and he just had, a little, like I said, about things would be stolen. They say, why don't you lock your door? He just had a little kutir, a little hut, and lock it when he would go to bathe. He didn't bathe very often, but every now and then he'd go to bathe in the Ganga, and he'd say, why? The Lord's in charge, he's in charge of everything. You know how we say, good things, when good things happen, well, this is only the mercy of the Lord. But when bad things happen in our life, well, it's my fault, but not him. Anything, good or bad, it's Krishna's fault. He's there, you're the supreme controller. He goes, why you allowed the thieves to take these things away? He would chastise Gaurnitai, and say, you let them do it. And then, when every single day he cooked, he would not he only offered his deities what he cooked. If people brought food, sometimes preparations, he'd say, no, take it away. Gaurnitai will not eat this. They only ate, he only offered what he could cook for them, and he'd be talking to them, like the devotees outside, they'd hear him talking, and after he made the offering, he'd say, did you take your food? And how did you like it? Was it okay? And then he would listen for their replies. And sometimes, he would ask, he had one very close associate, kind of, like a disciple, Ananta Basudev. And he said, did you hear what Lord Chaitanya said? And he said, no, I only heard what you said, but I didn't hear what he said. but then he repeated it. I'll see if I come to it. We have very little time, but and so he would talk, and no matter where, like he just carried Gopal, but when he's walking, when he's on a bullock cart, when he's in a boat, and even in a boat, it was a long boat ride. They were traveling on pilgrimage, and he cooked right on the boat for his deity, and it's hot, blazing sun. We know now it's hot, but imagine there in the open water with he had no conception that it's hot and his head is burning like that. And so there were two Babajis named Damodar and Bihari who were known as his disciples, and one of them was from his home village, but he didn't really initiate them, but they were very close with him. And then there was these two brothers, Suren Kundu and another not Ananta Vasudeva, Ananta Vishvambara was his close associate. And so these two brothers, they built him a little house right near the bank of the Ganga. And there's, every year there's like the rainy season, and then people told him, you need to move because the rain, well, he could see things in the future. They said, you should move somewhere else because your house is going to get flooded. And then, he'd say, that's all right, I would be so ecstatic to have the Ganga come right here. But then he told the owner of the house who built it, tomorrow there's going to be a flood, so move everything out of here. So they moved all of the furniture and the deities out of there, and sure enough, the next day there was a big flood like that. And he asked this nice devotee, Ananta Vishvambara, to read to me, because he couldn't read. So he read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and especially the chapter 8 of Madhya Lila, which is the Ramananda Samvad, discussion between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda, and he would just weep, and just profuse tears would fall from his eyes, and I'm going to have to skip. And then many people would bring gifts, and even like Bhakti Siddhanta arranged for his disciples to bring some vegetables and fruits and firewood, because he would cook with wood. And the thing is that sometimes he would say thank you, sometimes he would say nothing, whoever brought them, and then whatever they brought, he just put it in a corner. But sometimes he'd say, what are you bringing this to me for? Do you think that you are supplying this? Only my Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya, only Gora, he is supplying for me. I don't need your things. And he would throw them in the river. And even once he put his deities, he tied them to a rope and put them in the Ganga. But when he was in Vrindavan, as we read in the prayer, he asked, in Jagannath Puri, he said to Gopal, so you'd like to bathe in the sea? And that, Gopal talked to him, and he put Gopal in the ocean, held him, and let him bathe in the ocean. And so again, like it was so difficult to always be very respectful, because he was so unpredictable. And so then Bhakti Siddhanta said, okay, none of you should go anymore, because he'd hear them talking like how that's so weird, how he would yell at them sometimes. And he said, I'm just sending one devotee on a bicycle to bring commodities, and he put it outside of his hut, and don't talk to him or anything, because otherwise we become offensive because of how he treats us. So eventually, when he went to Navadvip, where he spent most of his life, very soon devotees recognized that, this is a great, a great Paramahansa devotee. And one devotee, he said he used to come all the time, and he'd say, how can we attain God? And no reply. He would just ignore him. And then finally, he suddenly looked intensely at him and asked, what do you want? The man replied, I want to find God. And he said, cry. So also another person asked him once, what is the meaning of religion? So the meaning of religion, we heard this also from Lord Chaitanya and from Jiva Goswami, although it's not exactly a verse in the scriptures, but they all said the same thing, that religion, he said, is Jiva Doya, Nama Ruchi, and Vaishnav Seva, and nothing else is religion. So Jiva Doya, compassion for all jivas, and then Nama Ruchi, a taste for the holy name, and service, Vaishnav Seva, a service to devotees. So he told that devotee that as well. So about this, I don't want to skip, oh yeah, so remember I said he was talking to his deity and he asked Ananta Vishvambara, did you hear what he was saying? And he said, no, I heard you talking to him, but that's all. He said, he told me, for 3 days, don't go outside for begging. You have become too old, so I will feed you. And then he said, this Gauranga wants to serve me. Then he went out in front of his house and got a stick, and he said to Gauranga Didi, that you don't go outside for serving me. If you do, I'll break your leg. and he held the stick. So, and sometimes, yes, he there's many things. Oh yeah, so now he wouldn't let people touch his feet, except one day, once a year on Gaur Purnima Day, he would just sit in his kutir, and all day he would just sit there. He always just sat, like, you know, when he went to, when he went on pilgrimage, like we see here how Jati Shekhar traveled for 3 months. They had a tent for him, so he would stay in his tent. And so anyway, this time he's there, and he just would sit. Like when we go to Vrindavan, we generally like to visit, you know, the different samadhis and the different 7 major temples and different holy places in Govardhan, Varshana. But he would just sit, and he sat always under a vamsivat, that is a banyan tree, and he would find, where's a banyan tree, even if it's like next to the railroad or next to a crematorium, wherever. And he would just be, they would, you know, pitch his tent right under that banyan tree. And he would just sit in meditation and talk to his deities, not going here and there, you know. But on this Gaur Purnima, he would allow people to touch their feet. And then one man came, and he offered that people gave donations. You know, they would give coins, and one man offered a big coin, and he said, could I have change? And Babaji got so angry. He said, Hari, this is theft. Anything offered to Mahaprabhu cannot be taken back. Do not give him any change. So I know I've done it, you know, when after initiation, when devotees come for dakshin, and I'll say, can I have change, you know, just because you want to give to all the initiates and all. So now, that day, he got a lot of donations. So Ananta Vasudev said, this is so nice. Is it Vasudev? Yeah. Begins with V, doesn't it? Anyway, yeah, so he said, this is so nice, we got so much donations. Tomorrow we can have a little festival, and we'll have all the pilgrims, we'll make really nice prasadam, and we could feed the pilgrims. But then all of it was stolen. And so Ananta Dev was so sad, and lamenting that, we were going to have a feast and it's all gone. And then Maharaj said, why are you sorry? Mahaprabhu has given it to somebody else. So just like you shave, when you shave your head or your face, the hair grows back. So Mahaprabhu has given the money to someone else. Money is gone, but money will come back, right? Money, Lakshmi is called Chanchala. She's restless. She doesn't stay in one place very long. And once there was this young girl, about 7 or 8 years old. Every day she used to bring a pot of Ganga water for him. And so one day she came in a huge rainstorm. She still brought it, and she brought it into his kutir, and he was in trance, in meditation. And then he said, don't go back outside. But she was going to go anyway. She opened the door, and he grabbed her, and right then lightning struck right where she was about to step. He had jumped up and pulled her back, and a thunderbolt, And then another man, he had cholera, and he was in so much pain, and he came, and he laid outside of his kutir, and he would just say, and he was just like moaning. He said, I'd rather die than tolerate this pain. And it was especially a really bad stomach ache. And he stayed there for 3 or 4 days. And then finally, Vamsidas came out and put a tulsi leaf on his tongue, and immediately he was cured. And he had no more pain, and he stood up and he walked home and all. And so, also a cow, black cow, used to regularly come into his kutir and take all the food. He would let him take all of the food. And also monkeys would come and, a rat used to come and steal his bananas. And then he'd say, he would look at the rat and say, this is a thief. And then he'd point at his Gopal Didi, say, he too is a thief. So I wanted to, there's just so much and so little time, but about this, when they were on their journey, they stayed at this forest. There was a forest, and it was a full moon day. He said, you don't have to put up the tent because it's so beautiful here and so pleasant. It was on the bank of a river, a river, Vaitarani River, and we'll just sleep. I don't need a tent or anything. All his associates who traveled with him, they never used a tent. They just slept under a tree. And then it was in the night, and the full moon was very bright, and then all of a sudden they see 50, I don't know if they counted them or it's an estimate, 50 beautiful ladies just walked by in beautiful, all in white clothing, and they all paid obeisances and then just kept walking. So then the next day, they left that place, and it was quite remote, and they went just through fields and fields of farms, and then they come to the village, and they asked the villagers, who were those ladies that came? They said, what ladies? Nobody goes in that forest. First of all, it has wild animals there. Second of all, it's very far away. Third of all, we have no need to go there. There's nothing that we need from that forest. And no ladies would go there with no men, no children, just these ladies. So they understood that, this was demigoddesses. They had come to offer obeisances, just like another day we'll hear how Bhakti Siddhanta, the devotees came from Svetadvip to see him. But so then, and also whenever he saw Bhakti Siddhanta, he would say, oh, a Manjari has come, because Bhakti Siddhanta is Nayana Manjari. He'd say, a Manjari has come, so now will Radha also come? Yes, she will come, she will come. So all glories. Oh, I didn't get to talk about Radhagunandan Thakur. Whoops, sorry about that, but you can all hear about him. All glories to Bamsidas Babaji Maharaj. Thank you. I forgot Radhagunandan, sorry. Koti Chandra Shishutala, page 55. Hey no nitai bine pai Radha Krishna paite nai Dvita kori daro nitar pai. Oh, good. Se sambandha nahi jar Rita janma gelo tar Se pashu voro dorachar Nitai na boilo muke Maji lo samsara suke Nitai na boilo muke Samsara suke Vijakule hikori betar Ahankare mata hoya Nitai pada pasariya Asachere sacha korimani And his favorite line, Nitaye koruna habe Pracharata Krishna pade Doro nitai charana dukani Nitaye charana satya Tahara sevaka nicha Nitai pada sada koro asha Narotama boro duki Nitai more koro suki Rakaranga charanera pasha Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Shishutala Jai Chaya Jagata Jura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radhe Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Translation. In this material world, which is progressing toward hell, there is always a blazing fire, and everyone is struggling hard without finding peace. Therefore, if the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter under the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, which are cooling like the shining of millions of moons. Unless one takes shelter under the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, it will be very difficult to approach Radha Krishna. Anyone who does not establish their relationship with Lord Nityananda is simply spoiling their boon of a human birth in animal propensities of sense gratification, never saying the names of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. They become absorbed in so-called material enjoyment, and their academic education and birth in a high family or great nation will not protect them at the time of death. They have become maddened by a false concept of bodily life, and thus they have forgotten their eternal relationship with Lord Nityananda. Such forgetful persons accept the illusory energy as factual. When you achieve the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then you will be able to approach Radha Krishna. Firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are not illusion, they are a fact, and anyone who engages in the transcendental loving service of Lord Nityananda immediately achieves their transcendental position on the spiritual platform, which is eternal and blissful. Therefore, always try to catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Narottam Das Thakur says, "My dear Lord Nityananda, I am very unhappy, so I am praying to you to make me happy. Please keep me in a corner of your lotus feet."
I could not hear your class. Mayapur.
Every day on Facebook.
Chaitodarpanam arjanam bhavamohodavagni nirvapanam shreyakairavya chandrika haribo vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipanam pranamrita swadanam sarvatma snapanam parmijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namakari Bahudani Jasarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amita Smarane Nakala Etadrishi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amani Namana Dana Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavadad Bhakti Ohetaki Twai Vainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishameva Vambudao Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gadgarudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukata Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishava Padamritam Anastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatadava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Pranatas Tusaevanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Oh, Almighty Lord, I have no wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Shastra Ki Jai. Thank you, Mother Champakalata, for dressing Shri Shri Radha Golokananda so beautifully today. Haribo, they're in Vrindavan. It's a real Vrindavan mood. And welcome back, Alicia, for after your long absence. It's always good to have you here. And Lochan, Haribo. We had a really nice Harinam yesterday in Chapel Hill. It was a lot of students wandering around, just getting ready for the new school year. And so we invite everybody to please come on Harinam. It's really enlivening, and we distributed, I mean, not a lot of but so many little flyers went out. Everybody was taking them.